All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Thanks for taking time out of your day to check the video out. We are talking about the official PlayStation 5 Pro reveal. A lot has occurred today, and the biggest thing that people are really focused on right now is the price point of the PS5 Pro. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that were announced for the PS5 Pro, but I do need to start with the price point because I feel like this is kind of the elephant in the room right now. A lot of people are not happy at all with Sony's decision to price this console at $700 US. We're looking at 700 pounds if you're in the UK, 800 euros. It's a very, very expensive console. And what's really, I think, making a lot of people very upset right now is the fact that it's $700 for just the digital model of the Pro console. So if you want a disc drive, you can buy the disc drive attachment, or if you already have the PS5 Slim, you can remove the disc drive attachment and actually attach it to the Pro. But the disc drive attachment goes for about $80 US. So realistically, you are looking at very close to $800 for a disc drive model of the PS5 Pro. So yes, this is definitely something that has people talking right now, and Sony is drawing a lot of criticism with this price point. But, you know, we have to kind of go over what the PS5 Pro is offering here, because even though this is a very expensive price point for a home console, we kind of have to stack it up against what Sony is offering. Does it seem worth it? Well, I'm going to do a quick rundown of the details here that Mark Cerny revealed today, as well as more information that was revealed in the blog post. It's going to come with a 2 terabyte SSD, so that's something that I think kind of went under the radar. It says it's built with the goal to now play games in their quality graphics modes at 60 FPS instead of needing performance mode. So this is like the big one, right? It seems to me that the PS5 Pro is essentially going to allow you to play games in Fidelity mode at 60 frames per second. That's essentially what Sony is pushing here. I think it's important to note that, because what they're not telling you is that games that are targeting 30 FPS because they're CPU bound, they're not going to be able to run suddenly at 60 FPS on the Pro. The good news is there's not many of those games. So generally speaking, most games are going to offer Fidelity mode at 60 FPS. There's an upgraded GPU, 67% more compute units than the PS5, 28% faster memory, and 45% faster rendering. Advanced ray tracing, 2 to 3 times faster ray casting to provide better reflections and lighting. AI upscaling, or PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. It uses machine learning to provide, quote, super sharp image clarity, end quote. PS5 Game Boost can automatically stabilize or improve the performance of 8,500 backwards compatible PS4 games, enhances image quality and resolution on select PS4 games. Some PS5 Pro enhanced games will include Alan Wake 2, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Demon's Souls, Dragon's Dogma 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Gran Turismo 7, Hogwarts Legacy, Horizon Forbidden West, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, The Crew Motorfest, The First Descendant, and The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, and more. It's also worth noting that in a video uploaded by CNET, they did seemingly confirm that there are going to be over 50 PS5 Pro enhanced games at launch. So this is what the $700 PS5 Pro without a disc drive is offering. And the reactions online have been pretty intense. If you go check the official PlayStation YouTube channel, the comments are not good. People seem to be very upset with this, but what's interesting to me about this situation is the way Sony is handling the reveal, where one of the biggest criticisms I've seen beyond just the price being expensive, people wondering why Sony didn't show any new games. I mean, if you're going to come out with a console that's this expensive, surely you want to show some new games to kind of, you know, entice people and convince people to buy a console that expensive. But there are multiple rumors out there right now that basically next week there's going to be a relatively large state of play that is focused on showing nothing but PS5 Pro enhanced games. There was even one rumor claiming that Sony is going to show some first-party stuff and maybe even have one big reveal. So look, I'm not telling you to believe those rumors or hold your breath or assume that that's going to happen, but what I will say is it does make a lot of sense. I feel like right now Sony's kind of ripping the band-aid off, and the sticker shock has got people kind of raging or just feeling like Sony lost their minds here. But I do feel like if Sony comes out next week and they actually show a bunch of new games, or at least like what these games can really end up looking like running on the Pro, I don't think it's going to convince everybody, because let's face it, $700 is a lot for a console, especially one without a disk drive. But I do think it will help quite a bit. I think that something else we do need to keep in mind with all the kind of freaking out that people are doing is the base PS5 still exists. Is it kind of crazy that a PS5 Pro with a disk drive will cost nearly $800 US? Yes. But again, the base model PS5 with a disk drive still exists for $500 US. And I think what some people are kind of losing sight of is that if you decide that the PS5 Pro is too expensive for you and it's just not, not something you're going to be interested in, or it's just way too expensive and you think that price is absurd, you're going to be okay. Like, if you stick with the base PS5, you're going to be just fine. Games are obviously not going to look as good or run as good as they will on the PS5 Pro, but they're still going to look really, really good. And they're still going to run good. Like, they're going to be just fine. And I think that when we see people kind of like freaking out about the price point here, again, it is a genuine sticker shock. I was not expecting a $700 Pro. I'm not really sure who was. Maybe some people were. But it's just important to understand who this console is for, who it's targeting. I've been seeing a lot of people asking, who is this for? And I think Sony essentially communicated it pretty well in their own video and their blog. And it's like, it's for the PS5 users right now that have been asking for more out of their games in terms of fidelity and performance. That's who it's for. And so I think it would be safe to say that those individuals would be labeled as the enthusiasts, the console players that care about having the best possible experience on their home console. And so that's why I think Sony is probably just like, look, we're going to have to price it at this because, well, let's face it. I mean, there is kind of a lot going into this console. I'll be interested to see how this $700 digital PS5 Pro stacks up against a PC with similar specs, how much more expensive potentially that PC could be. I don't know that I've seen anybody kind of make that comparison yet. Maybe we need to get the actual full specs first. That's why, from the PS5 Pro. But I guess I'm just saying that on one hand, it is surprising that Sony is charging this much money for the Pro. And it's really hard to determine right now if it's really going to be fully worth it, because a lot of these games that they're listing here, I mean, yeah, I'm interested in games like Demon's Souls and Spider-Man 2 and, Alan Wake 2. I'm really interested to see just how much better these games can look on a PS5 Pro. But these are all games that have already come out. I think the PS5 Pro Boost Mode is awesome as well for PS4 games. But, it was just a little bit strange, in my opinion, that the very first games Sony decided to show during this presentation with Mark Cerny was The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. It's like, guys, that's a PS4 game. And this is where I do get a little bit concerned, where it's like, Sony, you got to start showing new games. Like, this is what people have been asking for. People have been wanting a proper game showcase, showing some new first-party games, not just remakes or remasters or enhanced games, but new games. And I feel like it's just such a strange decision to basically make the first game you show on your $700 Pro console a PS4 game. Like, I know it's the remastered version, but that game was built for the PS4, not the PS5. And so this makes me, again, kind of wonder if Sony is saving the bigger game reveals, to come at a little bit of a later time, maybe next week or in the coming months, because the console is coming out November 7th, I believe, and pre-orders are going live on September 26th. I mean, that would make some sense because, you know, get the price out of the way now and then show the games. I don't know. Usually it kind of goes the other way, though. That's what's funny about this situation. But yeah, I'm kind of torn right now because a PS5 Pro does seem appealing to me. Like what I'm reading here and what it's going to be capable of doing, like playing games in Fidelity mode at 60 FPS does sound pretty great. But there's just also the fact that, man, for me, it would cost close to $800 because I would have to buy a disk drive. So it would be very expensive. I paid $500 for my current PS5 and, you know, it was well worth the money. That's the thing. For that $500, I put thousands upon thousands of hours into this console. So the idea of paying $800 for a Pro console that I'll probably use for another 4 years or so, assuming I get the same amount of use out of it, I feel like it would ultimately be worth it. But as of right now, the only thing that's holding me back is I gotta see the games. You know what I mean? Like I need to see some comparisons, direct comparisons. I know Sony showed off a few in their video today with Mark Cerny, but I need to see like more in-depth comparisons, and I really need to get a better idea of like how much of a difference this console is going to offer, you know, with upcoming games as well as the games that are listed here. And I think if it reveals that there's actually quite a significant difference, like a very noticeable difference, and it really does just make the games look that much better while running at 60 FPS, yeah, I probably will end up going for it. But yeah, there's just no getting around the fact that this price point is, to a lot of people, I think, frankly, absurd. I mean, especially in the UK. I think in the UK, it's looking almost to be like $1,000 when you convert it. So yeah, pretty interesting reveal overall. Very different from what we saw with the PS4 Pro. The price of these consoles are not going down. They're seemingly going up, and there's a myriad of reasons for that. But I don't necessarily know that I'm going to dive into it here. I'm just curious what you guys think. How do you guys feel about the PS5 Pro? What do you think of the price point? And I know a lot of people are going to obviously, you know, leave their kind of knee-jerk reaction comments, and that's fine. But I'm just genuinely curious, if you are planning to upgrade to the Pro, what has sold you today? What has sold you on it? And if you're not planning on it, or, you know, it's just something you're not interested in, what is breaking? What is the breaking point for you? Is it the price point? I'll be curious to see what you guys have to say. But guys, that does it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. If you did, be sure to leave it a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.